Alrighty, what is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Very Cold Lasagna, the podcast that houses a safe and open listening platform for casual, cold, and even the dumbest takes on the world of WWE, AEW, the NFL, and the wide world of pro wrestling and sports in general. I'm your host, DylanLasagna. Welcome to today's episode number 51 of this freezing cold podcast. And today, we got a good show for you all. A good show to talk about a letdown game for my San Francisco 49ers. So, in this recap episode for the San Francisco 49ers, we're going to be talking about their Week 4 game that was riddled with mistakes, riddled with turnovers, a canon of pretty much everything that went wrong against the Seattle Seahawks. We're going to be talking about the highlights, my personal highlights from that game, the winners and losers from that particular game, my takeaways, and after we're all said and done with Week 4 regarding the Niners, we're going to be taking a look at Week 5 because that was just the first of 2 division games that the Niners have to play. Because after that game, the Niners have to go on the road to Arizona to face a red-hot Arizona Cardinals team in Week 5. And they could be doing it without their starting quarterback. They're going to have to be putting in their future starting quarterback. But we will get into that in just a bit. We will be talking about that further down in this episode of Very Cold Lasagna. And to keep it brief, before I go really in depth into this game, this was a game that had like so much promise that the Niners are gonna go beat up on the Seahawks. They were gonna keep the clamps on Russell Wilson all game long, just like the Vikings did the previous week. They did that for a good chunk of the first half, but then something happened during that first half, towards the end of that first half, and then something else happened in the second half, and then all of a sudden the momentum was sapped out of the 49ers and transferred over to the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson was able to get away from the pressure, get away from the defense, and make all these magical twirl-a-whirl spins, evade the pressure, and throw it to his receivers, get touchdowns, and pretty much pull away from this game. So yeah, that was the story of this Niners loss this week. A cannon full of mistakes. Yes, a cannon. 49 cannons of mistakes. You should know like which cannon I'm talking about here. So anyway, before we talk about this mistake-filled loss by the 49ers, I know I'm kind of a little harsh on them right now, but it was a big pill to swallow. But again, before we continue further talking about the 49ers in this recap episode for them, I gotta share the social media. So we gotta chill here on time and time again. So anyway, if you like what you see or hear here on Very Cold Lasagna, make sure to subscribe and turn on that notification bell for the Very Cold Lasagna YouTube channel so you'll be notified of each and every episode that comes out, as well as the exclusive YouTube videos that are shown here on the VCL YouTube channel. And listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor FM, as well as Google Podcasts, and follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Very Cold Lasagna. So let's talk about this Week 4 matchup between the Seahawks, the Seattle Seahawks, and the 49ers. For the 49ers, they were heading into this Week 4 matchup against the Seahawks. They came into it coming off a heartbreaking loss on Sunday Night Football to the Green Bay Packers prior to this. The 49ers overcame a 17-7 halftime deficit, and Jimmy G led the comeback charge a couple of times, and they were down late 27-21, but Jimmy G marched down the field, and they took a fourth quarter lead, 28-27. But the problem was they had 37 seconds left on the clock, and apparently 37 seconds was 37 seconds too many for Aaron Rodgers and company to march down the field and kick the game-winning field goal. as I mentioned before, the secondary didn't have a particularly good game, shutting down Davante Adams. Yes, one singular receiver, Davante Adams, pretty much burned the entire 49ers secondary. So, one of the keys to the game, that I mentioned in the preview portion of last week's episode regarding the 49ers, was about shutting down, limiting DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Speaking of those two, for the Seahawks in week 3, they were handed their second straight loss by the Minnesota Vikings, who managed to keep Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and pretty much the entire Seahawks offense in check for a good majority, actually all of the second half, in a 30-17 loss for the Seahawks. So the Seahawks were essentially shut out in that second half. They scored 17 first half points and then were pretty much wiped blank in the second half. The Vikings pretty much exploited the Seahawks' biggest weakness, and that was the secondary and their offensive line. They were able to get to Russell Wilson and, force, even though it wasn't a sack, they were still able to contain him and force him to make some overthrows, throw it out of bounds, and force him to make incompletions. The Vikings defense actually managed to do that. They actually managed to try. So did the 49ers watch some of the film, not just from their own game, but also the Vikings game? We were about to see what kind of brand of defensive football the Niners were about to clamp onto their division rival, because this was an important game for them. They didn't want to lose 2 in a row, especially not to a division rival, because if they lost to the Seahawks, they were going to be behind fairly quickly in the division race, because also playing at the same time was Arizona and the Rams. They were also playing at the same time. Pretty much all these 4 teams were playing against each other at the same time, and neither one of them could afford to lose, because if they had lost, either one of them had lost, they would fall behind in the division race. So, important game for not just the Niners and the Seahawks, but pretty much everyone, the Rams and the Cardinals too. So, important games all around for the NFC West in week 4. But in regards to the Seahawks and the Niners, important games for both of them. So, let's talk about this week 4 game between the Seahawks and the 49ers. You start off in the first quarter. Seahawks get the ball first, and the Niners defense was able to keep Russell Wilson in check. They pressured him all around, and they got to him good. They took him down. They sacked him. D Ford had a good first half. He sacked Russell Wilson twice. Nick Bosa also got to him. So the Niners defense forced 3 straight 3-and-outs in the first quarter. So that was some pretty good stuff there. And the Niners secondary actually kept Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf limited. They stopped any of their big plays that the Seahawks had. It was a promising start for the defense overall in that first quarter and most of the second quarter. As for the offense, they pretty much had one of the keys of the games in check too. Jimmy G and the offense, they pushed the ball downfield. They got off to a really good start. He got Jimmy Garoppolo, got some good passes in to George Kittle and Deebo Samuel. And then he got, it was kind of a high throw, but still, a touchdown pass is a touchdown pass to backup tight end Ross Dwelley. The Niners had a early 7-0 lead on their opening possession. But then, all that promising goodwill, all that good stuff that happened in the first quarter, it started to slowly evaporate. If that's even a word, evaporate. It started to slowly go away for the 49ers. Because you'd start to notice, after the Niners went 3-and-out on their second possession, the field goal unit was about to come on. So, at some point in the second quarter, they were going to try a field goal. But then, something looked funny. Something looked weird. Number 9, Robbie Gould, was not kicking the field goal. It was number 18. 9 numbers, 9 times 2. 18 was coming out. The punter, Mitch Wishnowsky, was attempting the ensuing field goal. Why was that? Why? Wait, why are we doing this switch? Is this like, are we trying to pull some prank on the Seahawks mid-game, like in the regular season in a crucial game? Like why are we trying to pull pranks on them? But no, this was because Robbie Gould had a groin issue during pre-game warm-ups, and he was questionable to play in this game, but he never did. And this could have been a serious blow to the special teams of the 49ers, and it turned out to be. So anyway, the special teams pretty much like were a non-factor. Mitch Wisnowski missed the field goal attempt, and while it didn't really show early on, it became a major issue for the 49ers later on. So we go to the second quarter. The Niners defense continued to put the clamps on Russell Wilson and their offense, but the 49ers' own offense couldn't take advantage of the defensive success. Like, they couldn't advance the ball downfield like they did in their early possession. Like, Jimmy G was sailing balls too high. The receivers couldn't catch the ball. Jimmy G was doing some weird things. So overall, the offense was out of sync. And then, moments later, the problems began to shoot out like a cannon. Boom, boom, boom. Because on a possession that ended in a punt for the 49ers, the kick returner for the 49ers, their kick returner, that's last name is a cannon, instead of tapping a live punt ball, the one that it's a live ball that hits, that's free for anyone to pick up, it could have put Seattle deep in their own territory for the next possession if it stayed in bounds, touched, grounded by pretty much anyone, including the 49ers. But instead, kick returner Trent Cannon caught it, and instead of downing it deep in Seattle territory for the Seahawks to be pinned there on their possession, he decided to be a dumbass and roll himself into the end zone. This was not momentum carrying him into the end zone. No, he just wanted to show off, grab the ball, roll it to the end zone, and then lo and behold, touchback. What are you trying to do? What you should have done was, if you're gonna be a show off, at least roll, catch, and then push the ball back. What point were you trying to prove in catching the ball and rolling into the end zone? Were you trying to get a touchdown? Were you trying to get a special teams touchdown when that was not going to happen? What are you doing? What you literally cost the team the game here, because that's exactly what happened. That was exactly what happened. What Trenton Canyon did, it literally sapped away the momentum of the rest of the team, because his dumb fuckery led to a cannon of momentum going into the Seahawks' favor, because the offense broke the game open. They were able to get Russell Wilson going. He got some passes into Alex Collins and DK Metcalf. Tyler Lockett was still not an issue in this game, but still, the fact that Russell Wilson was able to get cooking in this game, and the defense, the front four, became a non-factor for the rest of this game, it started to show. It really started to show. So the Seahawks tied it, and then from there, both sides for the 49ers, they started to cool down a lot. It continued that way into the third quarter. So overall, this first half, it started really, really good for the 49ers. They had the clamps on Russell Wilson. They pressured him. They got some good defense on him. They locked down on Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. The secondary played well. The offense, they had a good first possession, but they struggled after that. I don't know why. But then this dude, Trenton Canyon, pretty much gave the Seahawks an opportunity to go down the field, get a touchdown, which they did, and attempt to break it open, and which they ended up doing. So anyway, we get to the third quarter, and things get somewhat worse. Like, somewhat worse for them. There were even more changes that would hurt the Niners' momentum for the rest of this game. So Jimmy Garoppolo was on the sidelines to start this game, and you notice Trey Lance, our rookie quarterback, was in the game instead, and Jimmy G would stay on the sidelines for the rest of the game. Now, don't get me wrong, I want to see Trey Lance. In action. But the thing is, I don't know if he's, like, after what I saw, is he really ready yet? I don't know. But anyway, so Jimmy G wasn't benched by Shanahan. He was actually injured. Jimmy G, yes, lo and behold, like, what a surprise, Jimmy Garoppolo is injured again. He injured his calf. I mean, injuries suck, but damn, dude. Like what did God do to piss off? Like, what did Jimmy G do to, like, piss off, like, the football gods? Like, give him an injury curse because he got injured again. Now he's gonna miss a couple weeks, and this injury stemmed from the opening possession, and which explains why he couldn't really move around in the pocket more than he normally doesn't. But still, this sucks. This sucks for Jimmy G. I really feel bad for him because it's just, like, I know he doesn't play great, but still, you gotta feel bad. You kind of feel bad for this guy. Like this is his third major injury in, like, what, 4 years. Like, goddamn. So here comes Trey Lance, who pretty much had to learn, like, and operate the offense at the same time on the fly, and he has that athleticism, but he also is still a raw prospect, and it showed. It's like the offense couldn't keep in check. It couldn't keep up with him. It's like he was throwing fastballs, and he like, the receivers couldn't catch them. It was like the offense kind of got completely out of sync for the whole third quarter. It's like they didn't know what to do, and I don't think Kyle Shanahan knew what to do. He was like, yeah, we don't know if Jimmy G is good, so we'll just throw in Trey Lance. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? So, pretty much the whole third quarter of offense was a mix of Lance's potential, yet inexperience, and coupled with the rest of the offense trying to adapt with Trey Lance under center, all on display. I guess the good thing is that Trey Lance got a touchdown in later in the game, but we'll get into that in a bit. So this offensive struggle of trying to move the ball with Trey Lance, it affected the defense too, because that front four couldn't get after Russell Wilson because they made their own adjustments. The Seahawks made their own adjustments on offense, and the secondary reverted back to being, like, bad. Like, they couldn't stop DK Metcalf. They couldn't stop Tyler Lockett. They couldn't stop like, any of the other receivers. They couldn't stop Alex Collins. Like, they couldn't stop the Seahawks offense, and it couldn't even stop Russell Wilson getting a rushing touchdown. Like, why did they have Javon Kinlaw chase after Russell Wilson? Like, Drake Kirkpatrick, the new corner signee, he was in the end zone. Like he knew from a mile away Russell Wilson was going to run in the end zone, and he saw Javon Kinlaw chasing after him. Like, why didn't he go over there? Why didn't he run out of the end zone and go after him? I don't know what they're doing. So the Seahawks took the lead 14-7, and here we go. The canon of miscues continued because Trenton Canyon fumbled the ball away because he muffed the football on the kickoff, not once, but twice. Yes, this dude muffed the kickoff twice. He got up, recovered it, but then he fumbled it again. It's like, the only cannon this dude is shooting is the cannon of stupidity. Like, yes, I make mistakes all the time. I make repeated mistakes. But damn, like, this dude, like, was trying to cost his team the game. Like, goddamn. Holy shit. Like, I know football's a hard sport, mentally and physically, but goddamn. Like, what was going through his head? What was going on? Is he okay? I hope he is, but shit. Like, Shanahan should have knew that this dude was not feeling right. So anyway, like, Cannon's mistakes led to the Seahawks scoring again with Russell Wilson throwing it to Freddie Swain, 21-7, just like that. So on the Niners' ensuing possession, Cannon nearly fucked up again on the end on the kickoff because he didn't see that the ball did not go in the end zone for a touchback. He signaled for it's going to be a touchback, but no, it didn't hit the end zone. So he had to go back and catch it, and he almost screwed it up. He almost screwed up the kickoff too. So here's the part where I mentioned that Trey Lance at least tried to get the Niners back in the game. So he had this nice touchdown throw to Deebo Samuel on busted coverage from the Seahawks secondary. And this was kind of funny. Like, Jamal Adams was like, hey, Deebo Samuel's wide open. What are you guys doing? He was like complaining that no one was going after a wide open Deebo Samuel, yet his ass couldn't do it. Jamal Adams is just like, hey, you guys do the work for me. But anyway, so Niners get back into the game 21-13. They couldn't get the tackle on the extra point because, well, Mitch Wisnowski is not a field goal kicker, and you know it's understandable. It's like there's not much you can do there with all the kicking woes, the special teams woes that we're having at the moment. But pretty much, any hope that I had with trying to make a comeback in this game was pretty much wiped out because the Seahawks scored in the next drive because the secondary couldn't stop them, with Alex Collins getting a touchdown, 28-13, and pretty much by the time the fourth quarter came around and the Niners scored another touchdown and a 2-point conversion, Trey Lance connected with Deebo Samuel again. It was kind of already too late. So the Seahawks won this one 28-21. Overall, the Niners started off pretty well. Both sides of the ball were playing pretty damn good football, especially on defense. But Trenton Canyon started off a cannon of mistakes and miscues, and pretty much the momentum went downhill for the 49ers. And the Jimmy G injury was just, man, it's just like the dude got injured again. It's just, at this point, you kind of got to feel bad for him. And it cost the Niners the game. All that, it just messed up the Niners. So, if you're looking for like a reason on why the Niners lost this game, look at Trent Canyon. I know there's like multiple reasons, like the secondary couldn't stop Metcalf and Lockett and the run, or the front four stopped getting after Russell Wilson. But I gotta say Trent Canyon was the sole reason why the Niners lost this game, because had he not like rolled around in the end zone like a dumbass on the punt in the second quarter, like the Seahawks would have been pinned deep. Okay, the 49ers front four would have still been playing stout ass football, and the momentum wouldn't have shifted as much. Okay, so Trent Canyon, it's like his dumb dickery of rolling in the end zone like changed the momentum. And he didn't like learn from a mistake. Either he didn't learn from his mistake or he just had bad luck. Like, I know, I'm just an armchair guy that talks about football, giving his pretty stupid takes on it. And I know football is a physically and mentally tough sport, but at the same time, the dude had to step up. He had to figure out like what was going on, what was happening. And he just didn't do that. And as for Trey Lance, he flashed potential. He flashed that, he can do things that Jimmy Garoppolo can't. But it was also clear that the rest of the first team offense and Kyle Shanahan were not ready for him to play today. At least on Sunday. Today, as in Sunday. They're not ready for him to like play a whole half of football. And Trey Lance still has some things to work on. It's like has to learn how to control the fastball. He has to learn how to detect the defense. He still has to learn like a variety of things. And I know he'll still learn that in time, and he'll probably learn that when he plays a couple of games that Jimmy Garoppolo's out. So it'll take some time for Trey Lance to get up to speed, especially now because he's going to need it with these upcoming games that he's going to play. So now let's talk some winners and losers of this very, very like rough game. I only have one winner for this game. Even though they lost, even though they not kind of technically collapsed after the second quarter, I gotta get props to the defense. Like, yes, they couldn't like hold off the Seahawks defense. They couldn't keep them in check because of the offense struggling. This week they showed promise. The front four, they had a quiet week against the Packers and their makeshift offensive line. But this week, for at least a quarter and a half, they played some really good football game to Russell Wilson, pressuring him, containing him in the pocket, sacking him. They were playing some pretty stout football. Credit to D Ford and Nick Bosa for having a really good game up to like late in the second quarter. I know like the offensive line like adjusted for the Seahawks and they got locked down, but still it was still a sign of progress for that front four of the 49ers. And the secondary, yeah, they were pretty in the rest of the game, but first quarter and in the half of the second quarter, they had that urgency to play better. They got the clamps. I know I've been saying that word, but they got the fists, the iron fists on the receivers. If if they're motivated, and they were, but again, it was just the offense. I guess they were just getting tired. They were getting tired like with all the time being on the field. So they were just getting worn out. But what you saw for like a quarter and a half, like if the offense does their part too, then the defense will follow. Now as for the losers of this game, well, I already mentioned this a couple times. Trent Canyon, yeah, pretty terrible game. So I don't really need to go much more into that. He pretty much like changed the momentum negatively for the 49ers. And Kyle Shanahan, like for the fourth week in a row, like whether it's Jimmy or Trey, like after the Niners took the lead, he was being too damn conservative, even for a 7-point lead. And the 49ers defense was locking down on Russell Wilson. He was still being too damn conservative on offense, and especially through much of this game when he was already behind. Aside from that opening drive, Trey's first touchdown pass of the game in the third quarter, that big bomb to Deebo Samuel, and that garbage 2-minute drill. Like all Kyle Shanahan was doing throughout the game was check down, run in the middle, have Trey Sermon run, have Trey Lance run, throw a check down to Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Mohamed Sanu, Kyle Juszczyk, and have them go after the yak yardage, the yards after catch. Like let your quarterbacks make plays, let them make chances. Let Trey do what he just did with Deebo Samuel on a busted coverage pass. Let them take chances. Like I said last week, does Kyle Shanahan have trust issues with his players, or does he have that big of an ego, like saying, "Oh, I can win this by myself"? So for such an offensive guru that some people claim that Shanahan is, he surely hasn't looked like it in the last few weeks, because he's made some conservative play calls, some questionable decisions on offense. It's like, what is he doing? Like is he like being is all this like too much? I don't know. So some takeaways from this game. The injuries to Jimmy G, Trent Williams. Yes, Trent Williams got injured in this game, and Robbie Gould. All eyes should keep peeled on their injuries. So we know the extent of Jimmy G's injury. He's going to be out for at least a couple of weeks, but the MRI, like, it hasn't come back yet. At least not from like the reporter side of things. We haven't heard from like any of like the Niners beat writers or like anything official from the 49ers, like how long Jimmy G is going to be out. All they said is a couple of weeks with the calf strain, but we'll see how long this latest injury from Jimmy G is going to keep him out. Trent Williams, Shanahan said that it's not good. It's concerning, but hopefully it's not too severe that it keeps him out for several games or the whole season, the whole rest of the season. But hopefully there'll be some positive news for Trent Williams with a shoulder injury that he suffered in the fourth quarter. Robbie Gould, like I mentioned before, he suffered a groin injury pre-game in warm-ups. He tried to go back in the game, but he was held out all throughout the game. So, like, we don't know what the severity is. We'll see what the Niners say throughout the week. But it was also mentioned on Twitter that they were gonna try out kickers in preparation for the Cardinals game. So another takeaway from this week is I don't know if it should be time for John Lynch to consider looking at a potential new head coach. Yeah, I'm going to go on a limb here. I really am going to go out on a limb. I'm going to give a really big frozen hot take here on Very Cold Lasagna. Probably one of the biggest ones I've given here on this show. And I know people will rag me on it. I know people will rag me on this, but it's been 5 years since we had Kyle Shanahan as a coach. Outside of the Super Bowl season that they could have won, but a Jimmy G overthrow like wasted that chance. But even then, like Kyle Shanahan has done some good things on offense as a play caller, but as a head coach, he really makes me question some things about him, like the play calling, especially like when he goes relies so much on being a run-oriented head coach, relying on guys like Raheem Mostert, Elijah Mitchell, and then now Trey Sermon just running up the middle or going for the jet sweep with Deebo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk. And then they just all get bottled up. And then Kyle Shanahan's like, oh, let's just punt it on fourth down. So it's like, is this really the work of an offensive genius that should be aggressive, yet he's really conservative? It's just like baffling, It's like we hired this guy because it's like he was super aggressive. He made Matt Ryan into a really, really really good MVP level quarterback. Even though we all know what happened in Super Bowl 51 against the Patriots, but still, this was a reason why the Niners hired him. Like he's an offensive guru, but yet these past few years since the Super Bowl, I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen anything that suggests that. So, and then he also has that losing record as a head coach. Now, granted, 2 of those first seasons for the Niners under Shanahan was marred by injury. So I will give him some pass on that. But still, it's like a good chunk of those losses. And even during the Super Bowl run, it's like we're on him. Like some of this decision making was very questionable. So at some point in time, even during this season, John Lynch has to consider is it time to look at a potential new coach that can work with Trey Lance, that can really unlock the potential of this offense, the right head coach that can help develop Trey Lance as a franchise QB. Because I'm starting to doubt Kyle Shanahan can be that guy if he's really gonna be super conservative, limit what what plays are going to be called. Like, if it's just going to be jet sweep, run the middle, check down Charlie, all over it again. It's just like, is it really, like, is this really going to be the QB that John Lynch, not the QB, the coach that John Lynch wants for a future franchise QB? I'm just saying. I am just saying. It's like John Lynch has to like be the bigger businessman. And I know he's buddy with Kyle Shanahan, but at some point, it's like, at the end of the day, it's a business in the NFL. You got to look at the long-term outlook of well, technically Jack York's team, but still, he's the GM. He makes the front office decisions of the football team. And yeah, he's got to think to himself, is Kyle Shanahan, who is a good offensive like coordinator and coach, yet he has a huge ego as a head coach. Is he gonna net us a title? He was literally 2 minutes away from doing that, but something's just got in the way. And is he really the right guy to help develop a future franchise QB in Trey Lance? So these next several games are either going to answer that question or pretty much debunk this question. So overall, this game between the Niners and the Seahawks, for the Niners, it was a letdown. It was a letdown. They really had to perform well against a division rival, and they did for a quarter and a half, and then a cannon pretty much blew away all the momentum the Niners had, all the positive momentum the Niners have, and gave it to the Seahawks. So that being said, the Niners will now have to bounce back again and look ahead to a trip to the desert to face a red-hot and pretty much very scary Arizona Cardinals team. The Cardinals, who were underdogs in their Week 4 NFC West division matchup against the LA Rams, they went to SoFi Stadium and pretty much blasted and demolished Matthew Stafford and the Rams 37-20. Now, it was a close game at the half, but goddamn, Kyler Murray and that offense pretty much ran away with that game when it was all said and done. So Kyler Murray was stellar in evading the Rams' vaunted front four, that pretty much was made non-existent by the Cardinals' offensive line with his scrambling ability, and he was very accurate at all passing ranges, especially on the deep ball. Speaking of his deep ball, it is going to be a great concern for the Niners secondary if they can't contain not only Murray, but his bevy of receivers. And speaking of Murray and the offense, it's not just Kyler Murray and one receiver like Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams or Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett. It's a shit ton of people on Arizona. It's Kyler Murray, James Conner, Chase Edmond, and a whole bunch of receivers like AJ Green, DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk, Rondale Moore, and probably a shit ton of more. So essentially, it's a multi-headed dragon attack on offense that the 49ers are tasked to deal with in that shithole of a secondary. Yes, it is literally a shithole. That offensive line also did a really good job of protecting Kyler Murray, and they gave him a ton of time to throw the ball against the Rams, and they took good advantage of that. The defense for the Cardinals also made some big stops on the Rams' offensive possessions that the Cardinals turned into points on most of their drives. So all in all, the Cardinals looked like the true real ones that are the cream of the crop in the NFC West after 4 weeks. Not the Rams, the Cardinals, surprisingly. And here come the Niners in the desert. They're due to face a tough cookie in the desert. And I know what you're probably saying. Like, you're not a real Niners fan if you're really thinking that the Niners don't have a chance against the Cardinals. Like, I'm a Niners fan. I'm just a realistic, yet kind of optimistic Niners fan, okay? Trying to be real here. Let me be real here. Okay? You can be as optimistic, you can be as fanboyish as you want of a Niners fan. You're entitled to that. But I also want to be a Niners fan, but also be realistic about like our hopes for each game. So for some keys to victory, not just for the Niners and for the Cardinals too, because I want to be a little bit fair here, like going forward with these like preview games for the Niners. Like, yeah, let's be a little fair here. So for the Cardinals to win this game, you spread the ball around like they've been doing against their opposing defenses. That includes the Niners' suspect secondary. They have a litany of weapons to choose from. They could take advantage of that against the Niners secondary. The Niners secondary may have their one-on-one assignments. Let's say Emmanuel Mosley may have DeAndre Hopkins, or Josh Norman may have AJ Green, and then Fred Warner may have let's say Rondale Moore in like on a secret route, or Jimmy Ward may have like Christian Kirk on this route. Like, the Cardinals can attack them dearly with another person, let's say Max Williams, their tight end, left open. So this is a deadly attack. This is a deadly attack from the Cardinals that they can exploit onto the Niners. They can go ham wild on them. And then just let Kyler Murray go wild. They did it against the Rams. They could certainly do so against the Niners. And then they can shut down the running game. The Cardinals can certainly shut down the running game and force Kyle Shanahan to use, like, go for more passing plays with Trey Lance. Challenge. The Cardinals defense should challenge Kyle Shanahan to pass the ball more. Shut down the jet sweep. Shut down the run in the middles. Shut down the runs all around. Make Kyle Shanahan, make Trey Lance throw the ball more. If they want to challenge the Niners, if they don't want the Niners to challenge the Cardinals, make the opposing head coach challenge the home team. Speaking of the Niners, some keys to victory for them: find ways to limit the Cardinals' speedy receiver attack. Even though that your secondary may suck, you still gotta find a way to limit their attack. You did so against DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett for a quarter and a half. Now you got to find a way to transition that into a full game against a dragon attack that is the Cardinals' receiving game. I don't know how you do it, but you better find a way to do it. In the front four, just like last week, they must pressure and overpower a much stronger Cardinals offensive line to keep Kyler Murray in the pocket and also sack him multiple times, because Kyler Murray is much faster than Russell Wilson. He's going to evade pressure faster than Russell Wilson. He's going to find many ways to get out of the pocket and either run the ball for positive yardage or run the ball get out of the pocket and make all these crazy deep ass throws and hope that the receiver catches it. Either way, find a way to contain Kyler Murray within the pocket. So defensive coordinator D'Amico Ryans has to use just about every package he can in his playbook to limit Murray from dancing around, making these crazy ass plays, escaping pressure. It's pretty much going to be a chess for the 49ers. They have to play chess and not checkers on the Cardinals. And then lastly, Shanahan has to get Trey Lance comfortable early, because if he doesn't and he flusters him, and Trey Lance gets flustered, then the 49ers are going to fall behind real early. So if he gets Trey Lance comfortable, and he should, the Niners can get aggressive with the play calling after he has settled in. Make him throw deep balls. Make him throw like mid-range throws. It's like, enough with the run in the middles. Enough with the jet sweeps with Deebo Samuel and Trey Sermon. Get aggressive. Essentially, from this point onward, you should think in the back of your head, my job is on the line. Think of it that way. Shanahan, like, pretty much your livelihood with the 49ers is at stake. Like, take advantage of the fact that you have your quarterback of the future. At least try to develop him. So those are some of the keys to the games for both teams. That's my preview for the 49ers' upcoming trip to Arizona to face the Cardinals. But what do you guys think? How are they going to do against this Arizona team? Let me know. But overall, that was my recap of the 49ers' home loss to the Seattle Seahawks. A disappointing, mistake-filled loss in what should have been a win for the 49ers. And my early look at their road trip to Arizona to face the Cardinals in Week 5. But overall, I just hope that they take one of two. They get a upset over Arizona in Week 5 heading into their bye week. Because if they go 0-2, they lose both of their division games. Yikes. It's going to be a tough road to climb to get to have a chance at the NFC West title. But anyway, that is it for this 49ers recap episode of the week for Very Cold Lasagna. I am your host, DylanLasagna. Thank you for tuning in to episode 51 of this freezing cold podcast. Make sure to listen to the show and watch the show by subscribing to the YouTube channel and turning on that notification bell. Listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor FM, and Google Podcasts. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Very Cold Lasagna. And as always, keep that lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of pro wrestling and sports, tasty like pasta and very cold lasagna. And don't forget to leave a comment, whether it's on YouTube, social media, direct message, any way you can, about the 49ers Week 4 loss to Seattle and your thoughts on the 49ers upcoming game in Arizona to the Cardinals, however you can. And until next time, peace out.